Cedar's still going. Oh, what you got now? And are you logging in daily to get your rewards? I believe today is day 11, or yeah, countdown day 11. So if you want to get all 10 rewards, you need to start today, or you have to start tomorrow if you want to get all 10. And if you start today, you can skip a day if you need to. And off we go. Missed a bit. Actually missed a lot. Good grief, that's horrible. Seriously, quit. I'm thinking while the World of Warships promotion's running, I may add the new stream session on Wednesday will be a World of Warships stream, and if I can't make it to Arthur's multiplayer farm on Friday, I may do a World of Warships stream then as well. But as soon as the promotion's over, I'll pick a different game. World of Warships streams don't seem to bring much of a Twitch audience for me. But they do bring YouTube views. Generally more YouTube views than my farm sim sessions do. Okay. So that field's lined. We're going to have to refill the thing again. I'm not sure if 8's a larger area than 7. So it's sort of short and fat rather than long and thin. There's a little bump in the road there I keep hitting. Back up. So 345 for 1800. It's basically 0.9 times 400, 436. That's very close to being a break even. So VH, what ship did you get? Can't you remember? Some of these maps include new textures, but the if you lime it, it gets rid of it. Which is a bit of a shame. Really not sure I'm going to get a full field out of this. It's going to be very close, I think. Definitely only have to make one more run. Come on. Boo. You're out. Tiny bit left. Oh, Pensacola. Yeah, awesome guns with almost zero survivability. The trick with the Pensacola is don't be the ship that everybody's shooting at. Anybody's shooting at. Let someone else be the primary target. Which can be a little bit of a problem, because obviously to get the most out of the 8-inch armor piercing, you want to be a little bit close to the enemy ships. But if you do that, you're going to get seriously wrecked. Though back when it was tier 7, I did used to go toe to toe with tier 5 battleships. And if you're very, very careful, you can win that. Especially if the other guy doesn't really know what he's doing. But that's kind of true with any ship. Field's going to end up with white borders once we get back to ploughing it. Wasting quite a bit there. Hi, God of Thunder, how you doing? The Pensacola guns have very similar characteristics to all of the other American heavy cruisers. And it's one of the reasons why I like the Indianapolis so much, whereas most people really dislike the ship because it's fragile. The 8-inch guns really make up for a lot. I'm doing good. Block of ground that I haven't done yet, and that would be this bit here. So if I pull this in the right position, I should be able to get straight down and up twice. Well, yeah, 2 passes and we're done. So again to here. And nope, not 2 passes and done. Now do it sideways because you will cover width. I still don't think I'm going to get all of it. 23. No, don't waste it all. Darn. It's just all gone. 2 spots left. I am really not going to bother with that for the want of 15% harvest boost. It's really not worth it. Okay, I'll put this over here because why the hell not? And we shall go get the plow again. I should probably check in on the planter as well. Let's do that right about now. Okay, you're still going. Where are we? Oh, we're on field 12, so we're going that way. Okay, I've got time to do other jobs. So now we can turn the soil and grind the lime in. Wow. White tractor. Awesome stuff. Actually, let's do this. Drop it. Thank you. I think the only deal with this, what is it, real dirt, is, okay, I just reversed over that tiny bit of dirt and my tractor is no longer white. So there isn't a persistence of gunk on the tractor. Default is mud unless you're driving on some other surface, like for example the line. So while I'm driving on the line, my tractor turns white almost instantly. But as soon as I stop driving on the line, that dirt cleans up within seconds. We get on the line and it will turn white. Done. We're a white tractor again. So it's it's kind of a shame how quickly it changes. There, if you've just spent your time driving through line, driving 100 yards won't shake it all off. At least I don't think it would. I may be wrong. I think I can't remember if I noticed that on a Stanzia Apache. I did something. Or it might be mowing somewhere. Possibly even Marble Manor, where I had mowed, and so the tractor was covered in green. And then as soon as I left the field, the dirt turned brown before I got back to the yard. Sort of, oh, okay. So for those of you keeping up with law folds, this morning after the stream I did fast wind through the night so that we get a fresh start next week in first thing in the morning. And what I found was all of the fields on the map, except for 2 that were owned by non-player farmers, all got harvested, and some of them got cultivated. So there's only 2 left that are sort of options to buy in order to steal the crop off them. It didn't rain overnight, but the weather forecast does say early rain. But for now the ground's dry, so I could do at least a little bit of field work. The problem is the first thing I've got to do is collect all the silage bales and potentially by the time they're all collected it could have started raining. And obviously the BGA silage bales will have finished brewing, so I'll be able to start selling them properly rather than just throwing grass in the digester, because that was really dumb today. I can't believe I've got that right. I've sold so many bales there now that were just grass. That's not to worry, because the grass still turns into digestate. It's just that it doesn't turn into lots of money at the same time. It just turns into small change. But we just harvested another 150 silage bales. So late fall I can get to selling those, filling up the digestate tank. Once again, I've got to be careful how full that tank gets. I think it's currently down at 60%, so all of the silage bales that are currently sitting in the BGA probably won't fill it to 100%. Actually, I'll send that off on a worker. We can go and check off on this one. How you doing? What you doing? Dude. Where you going? Oh. Okay. That section is possibly going to be a bit tricky. Less than 45% fertilizer. 73% seed. So I'm going to have to refill the fertilizer tank before I set off on field 13. 13? Yeah, 13. But yeah, what I was saying about these fields being small, I'm still running on a fairly pristine subsoiler. So I'm not going to have to repair stuff quite so frequently. I mean, there's some fields on some farms where you get halfway through it and the subsoiler's running at 4 miles an hour and it's, oh, I've got to go off and fix it. And then you come back and you still barely get to the end of the field and you've got to fix it again. This is now the 4th field I've ploughed and I'm still running at 7%, pretty much. I noticed there's a couple of dips to 6, but I'm not sure if that's gravity related, because this is quite a steep field. We've got a 200 horsepower tractor, and I believe this implement needs about 130, so we've got 70 spare. Takes longer to reload. What takes longer to reload? The guns on the Pensacola. Yes. Yeah, I mean you're comparing. It also generally they have fewer guns, although at tier 6 the Dallas has 10 6-inch guns, the Pensacola has 10 8-inch guns. And so bigger shells, more powder. It does take longer to load the breech. Tier 7 you will lose a gun, only have 9 guns, but that's 6 at the front, 3 at the back, so your front shooting ability is improved by 1 gun, but your broadside ability is reduced by 1 total, but you get compensated by a little bit faster firing rate at tier 7. The tier 7 light cruiser gets 15 6-inch guns with incredibly slow firing rates because it's got so many. At tier 8 the heavy still only got 9 guns, and the Cleveland has 12. 4 triple turrets, 2 in the front, 2 in the back. I'm not using the entire set because you need about 400 horsepower to run the set. Where is it? Subsoilers. The DC 401 is 130 horsepower. This is 140. Okay, that's 130 horsepower. Back. If we then go for the power harrow, which is there, that's another 100, so we're up to 240 horsepower. And then you add the cedar on the back, that's another 100 horsepower, so you need about 340 horsepower to run the set. So kind of yes, the cost, but it's not the cost of the equipment, it's the cost of the tractor that you're going to need to haul it. On Lawfolds I'm using, my primary big tractors, although I've got a Class Zerion which has over 400 horsepower. My 2 Class Axion 940s have 380 horsepower. They can barely pull that kit all in, and they're big tractors, and their turn radius is such that 12-meter equipment is what they can do and make a full turn. Otherwise you're going forwards and backwards. It's the big problem I found with the Kuhn kit, was that horsepower requirement is an absolute killer on what is basically 4-meter equipment. It's starter equipment for a small tractor. 150 horsepower tractor could work all of it on its own, but only one at a time. Now the other issue is when I started with it, I thought, oh wow, this is great. I'm ploughing a field, although the subsoiler doesn't allow for create field, so it's not a true plough. The power harrow cultivates the field, and then the seeder puts stuff in the ground, seed in the ground afterwards. Now comes the but. This subsoiler counts as a plough as far as this field needs to be ploughed, and this field does need to be ploughed, so nope, this field doesn't need to be ploughed. This field needs to be ploughed. This field also needs to be ploughed, but you'll see there's a little brown line around the outside of it where I've already ploughed once around the field, and I'm removing the ploughed state. However, you look at the contours here, that's not a contour, what do you call it? I can't remember what it's called now. Ploughed, a ploughed field looks like furrows. This is a cultivated field, so we're actually classed as a cultivator, and I can use this subsoiler as a cultivator for contracts. So it turns out you don't need the power harrow if you've got the subsoiler, because the subsoiler's doing the is being treated as a cultivator. Also, any seeder that doesn't require, let's go and look at the seeders again. Let's take this seeder, where it says this machine offers the possibility to seed directly. Previous cultivating or ploughing is not necessary. Okay, so I can just run this straight over a harvested field and plant it. Not a problem. This one doesn't have that ability, but I can plough it or I can cultivate it. I don't have to do both. I know back when I started FS17 play, I thought, oh, I've got to plough a field every 3 times, and then after ploughing it, I've got to cultivate it, then I can seed it. And I only recently found out that no, if you plough the field, that's good enough. The seeder will let you plant seed on a ploughed field. So you kind of don't need the power harrow. Although you could claim, well, if the field doesn't need to be ploughed, I could skip having the subsoiler and run with a power harrow and a seeder. That's still 240 or 200 horsepower of equipment that I'm going to strap to the back of a tractor, and this tractor can barely cope with that because it's exactly 200 horsepower. You kind of need a few extra horses to get the tractor rolling, and on this field and the hill, I probably need a few more than that to overcome gravity. Now, don't get me wrong, I do like the Kuhn kit. The other problem we have with this particular farm is the hedges are so close to the edge that if I've got the seed tank on the front, I can probably get that close to the hedge, which means I've got pretty much half a tractor's length of ground that hasn't been ploughed and hasn't been seeded. And that's why I went for the Great Plains seeder, which is only 3 meters wide, but it doesn't have impediment at the front of the tractor that's not going to allow me to reach the edge of the field with it. Also, it does seeding and fertilizing, which the Kuhn kit doesn't do. And I've used the Kuhn kit on every starting map I've played so far, so it's time to use something different. The Great Plains seeder is a recent mod, so I figured, well, used to be starting kit for so many Farm Sim 17 farms, but it's not one people would normally pick as a as a go-to small seeder. I kind of like a little bit of variation. Although that said, I very rarely go to a plough as my go-to field equipment. Tend to go for a subsoiler, so I'm either going for this yellow one or the Kuhn subsoiler. Though the Kuhn one is a little bit more expensive and takes a little bit less horsepower. You're paying about $1,000 more for it. But you can use it on a 130 horse tractor rather than 140. I should probably go back and check the seeder again. It only had a tiny little triangle left to do. I'll send that off. Right, what are you doing? You seem to be having all sorts of issues because you're trying to reverse into a hedge because you can't turn round. Okay. Now the other thing with a if you're running a combo kit, or even if you're running a seeder which can cultivate, doing something like that rips up the seed that's already in the ground. I don't think it does if it doesn't cultivate as well. And if you run the combo Kuhn system, so you've got the cultivator and seeder on the back, the cultivator or the subsoiler is always going to rip up what's in the ground. So you're always going to be planting seed no matter what, which is a cost. You know, you're wasting seed. Because you planted it and then you're ripping it up and then you're planting it again. Yeah, I haven't played the Tier 7 New Orleans. When I went through the lines, it was Tier 8. Still a nice ship. Oh, I'm seeing something else there. Okay, let's head up here. Kind of looking like there might have been missed bits along this row here. I'm not seeing anything down here though. Right about here. Which is why I was questioning whether I should have got the Amazon, because the Amazon is a far shallower piece of equipment. This one hangs out the back quite a distance. I did what I did, so I'm going to have to live with it. Go back and fill up with fertilizer. I'll probably skip seed for the next field. We're going to plant soybeans. I believe this is the fertilizer patch. So you have to open the lids to fill them, and the first press of the button opens the seed only, and the second press of the button opens the fertilizer and closes the seed. Third press closes the fertilizer thing. That was the field I wanted that I just drove past at high speed. Oops. There we go. Okay, we're in. Dun-dun. Off you go again. Meanwhile, getting very close to the end of this one now. Yeah, the thing with the US heavy cruisers and World of Warships, the Indianapolis got kind of a pseudo nerf when they changed the tier on all the heavy cruisers, because the Pensacola used to be tier 7 and so was the Indianapolis. Pensacola has 10 guns, the Indianapolis only has 9 in 2 triple turrets at the front, 1 triple turret at the back. However, the Indianapolis has a very, very slightly better armor scheme than the Pensacola. And we're not talking a lot, but it does make a difference if you're getting shot at by light cruisers with 152mm guns. You tended to take a little bit more damage from penetrating hits in the Pensacola than you did with the Indianapolis. But it wasn't noticeable, but a good Indianapolis captain could beat a good Pensacola captain because of that. Now, Pensacola got demoted to tier 6 and got a couple of nerfs in the process, but the armor models weren't changed. The New Orleans got demoted from tier 8 to tier 7 and got its gun rate of fire nerfed, possibly damaged, but I'm not sure about that. And it didn't get its armor model changed. And the Indianapolis has a slightly inferior armor model when compared with the New Orleans, by approximately as much as the Pensacola's armor model is slightly inferior to the Indianapolis. So the Indianapolis hasn't changed, but its sister ship in the tech tree now has better armor, better rate of fire. I think the turrets turn faster, and so the Indianapolis has ceased to be the marginally superior ship that it was at tier 7 and is completely outclassed by the current tech tree tier 7 ship, except for gun range. And it has a radar, which obviously the New Orleans doesn't have anymore. But the Indianapolis has the longest unassisted gun range of an American heavy cruiser. Even the Des Moines can't fire as far as the Indianapolis, unless you fit the Des Moines with a spotter plane, which I believe gives you plus, I can't remember, is plus 10 or plus 20% range. But that's the only way you can shoot further than Indianapolis in an American heavy cruiser. Now, I'm pretty sure the Indianapolis doesn't have access to a spotter plane, so it can't increase its gun range. Its radar used to be as long as the Des Moines, so therefore longer than the tier 9 and the tier 8 heavy cruiser radars. But I'm not sure whether it was this patch that just came out or the next one. The radars are getting normalized across the American range so that heavy cruisers have a 10-kilometer range. So okay, 100 meters benefit for the Indianapolis on its radar range. All of the Russian ships had a 20-second radar, and all of the Tier 7 American and British ships have 25 seconds. Well, the Russians all got a plus 5-second boost to their radar time, but the Tier 7 cruisers that have radar don't. So now Russian radar has the same duration as an Indianapolis and better range. The Indianapolis hasn't gained any range, but the Tier 9 and 10 heavy cruisers did. And I think so does the Missouri. So it's not quite as superior as it once was. But I think it's my second... I'm not sure. It may be my second most played ship, or it may be my third most played ship. Looking purely at the amount of experience I have on the ship, available to be converted into free experience. My Kamikaze has the most experience, about 1.6 million. The Indianapolis, I believe I'm up to 1.4 million. And the other ship that's up there in contention to most played is the Minikaze. But I've only got about 400,000 experience on that one. Because A, it doesn't get the XP bonus that a premium ship has, and also you had to spend the experience buying hull upgrades, torpedo upgrades, and a load of other stuff, which they've since nerfed on the Minikaze, so it's a little bit sad. Is that tractor moving? Yeah, that tractor's moving. Okay.